Is Eva having a morning this morning?
What?
Is she having a morning? She's not here yet? Okay. The Dingleberries are back.
I looked up what Dingleberry was actually last week. It's disgusting.
You just now picked it up? Wow, okay. Okay, not now.
No,
It's not exactly like a breakfast conversation.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
It's just gross.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very
If
sexual.
okay, did you tell you if Bailey's offended, that's pretty bad.
I feel like it's very sexual.
No, it is not at all.
Ask him to call.
It could be fun. Well, actually, it can apply to you too. I am just running your morning, aren't I? Okay.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Bailey, I'm glad I could be here for you. Oh, yeah, tenants. I always forget to do that. Uh, is taking another morning off? Is? Belle? Is Nina walking her man to class? No, she should. He's a sophomore. What? No, that means Ben won't be here today then. Anybody come in? Okay. All right. Put your phones away. Okay, I'm going to talk about that real quick, and then I noticed a lot of people aren't doing their notes, so maybe just turn them in. Okay. Look at you. All right. I will update those. Uh, oh, okay. Sweet. All right. Okay. Now, put your phones away if you wish to not be sprayed. Close your Chromebooks. You're not going to need them for a moment. Let me take about 25 minutes of your time, and then you'll have the remainder of the hour to sleep or hopefully do some work. I'll contemplate definitions I'll be calling you. All right. Forget that mouse. All right. Okay. After the war, a couple of things happened that are really, really good for the United States. Now, please understand that it is complete crap in Europe. what comes between the two worlds? If you think about Bailey, this would make sense. The Great what?
Freshman.
Morning, sunshine. Long trip in from Minnesota?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did you check in?
Yeah.
You did?
Well, I got here at
I'll fix your time.
33,
Okay.
but I had to go drop my this thing off.
Okay. I just don't want him to. Okay. Change you to tardy. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, everything went to crap in Europe fast. You're not going to let mom get on the phone or Skippy. That's my mom. Okay. What did she do? I called you the Great Depression.
Yeah.
She probably agreed with me. Okay. All right. Anyway, now, we enter what's called the Roaring Twenties. Now, for those of you who like to party, this was your time. I had a great aunt who was born in 1900, and she loved the 20s. Oh man, she loved the 20s. She would tell us all because now it sounds kind of funny because you have two conflicting things that happen. They make alcohol illegal right after the war. Okay, everyone wants to come back from the war. What are you going to do when you're out of the war? You want to celebrate, right? Oh, great. Sweet. Okay, yeah. About 6 months after the troops come home, alcohol is now illegal. They pass what's called the Volstead Act. Now, just so you know, this is a number you're actually going to need to know. The 18th Amendment made alcohol illegal. The way I always remember it, 18th Amendment made it illegal because drinking age used to be 18 years old in most states, and then they reached 21, which made it legal again. So there you go. And if you ever grab a coach, you used to set the age of any. All right, now. And a good time was had by all in the 20s because everything was awesome. Because the economics of World War, we made so much freaking money off of World War I. Because not only were we producing our own bombs and stuff like that, we were producing them for Great Britain, France, Russia, so they were communist. We were making tons of money off of everybody. So now, all these factories that had been set up who were making all this money, they now changed over to making things that Americans wanted. So here we go, mass production. This is, I hate that we're talking about this now because it should have happened before. But in the late 1800s, early 1900s, Henry Ford doesn't invent the car, but what does he invent?
Light bulb.
That's Thomas Edison. And actually, that's a whole other thing. He invents something that makes things speedy. Building things.
All of that.
Assembly line. Assembly line. Okay, now, if you've ever seen an assembly line, I don't know how people on there make it without like jumping off like high bridges because, okay, the frame comes by. Your job may be put the wheel on, pick up another one, put the next wheel on. Some Jacob behind it, he's got a little screw. That's all you do all day. Now, what does this do? It used to be that cars were made by wagon makers, which were craftsmen. They handcrafted everything. So, like, have you ever seen anybody have like a wood form and take metal and beat it out over there to where it shapes the thing? Do you know how long that takes? On the assembly line, they had a big guy there with a big stand, and then you put something, and then they stuck it on the car. It becomes, when it used to take almost a month and a half for one craftsman to build an entire car, they could have one done in 10 minutes. Now, the problem with things coming off the assembly line, they usually probably came off the assembly line. You get the car that was built by a craftsman, you can still find cars from the early 1900s that were handcrafted that will still run today because they were built so well. Now, you also have a computer crap on there we have now that shuts everything down every 5 minutes anyway, but that's a whole other thing. Okay, anyway. Okay, now, Woodrow Wilson's term is up, which is a good thing because he just had a stroke, so we're heading out. And Warren G. Harding becomes president. Now, the Volstead Act was an amendment to the 18th Amendment. The president has no say in it because once so many states ratify it, it is the law. This guy was one of the biggest partiers on the face of the earth. And he probably was one of the most corrupt presidents we ever had. If you had money to give him, he had government jobs for you. He had all kinds of stuff. We'll put it this way, he dies in office. He has a stroke and dies when he's in bed with his girlfriend. So, and his administration, after alcohol has been made illegal, consumes more alcohol probably than most of our presidents combined. So, yeah. Now, this America First, what this means is screw everything that happened over there in Europe. We're going back to worrying about us and only us. Okay, which is kind of some of the things that got us into the Great Depression, because if we'd have paid more attention to the world economy, would the Great Depression have happened? Probably, well, it would have been bad, but not as bad as what it was. Okay, here we go. Here are the troops coming off. Yay, we're all happy. Now, the United States is staying over here all by themselves. And by the way, you're going to see this cartoon on the test, so look at it. This is all of the leaders of the foreign nations. Did you check it out? All right, these are all the leaders of the European nations, and what they're doing is they're sowing the seeds of war for another conflict to happen. Now, did we join the League of Nations? No. So did the League of Nations have any power at all? The only thing that gives you any power is that the most powerful country in the world pretty much keeps everybody alive. We were the most powerful country in the world. Were we there? Nope. Okay. All right. And when you've seen this one before, here's the U.S. Senate. The breakthrough. This is going to be us joining the League of Nations. This is Europe. This is the United States. The Senate saying no, 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 so we don't join. And nothing good happens to the League of Nations. All right. Now, we help rebuild all these European nations. We lend them money, which sounds like a really nice thing. But what's going to happen when the Great Depression happens if you give all your money away? And then nobody has it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, here's the other thing. Germany was so broke, we had to loan them money so they could turn around and pay for it so they could pay us back to our loans. Have you ever heard the saying that's taking money out of one pocket and putting it in another? If it's your money, you're not making any money. We loaned Germany all this money to pay back, and Germany would pay Britain and France, who owed us money from the war, and they're paying us back. So we're lending people money and getting nothing in return. Matter of fact, on the rate of exchange, we actually lost something. By the way, if you ever go to a foreign country, know this. When you go there, before you go there, you have to trade your money out. In St. Louis, there's a bank in Kirkwood you can go to, right by the train station. And when you turn in, I gave them $500 to get Israeli money. And right off the top, they take 25%. And I'm like, are you kidding? And then they weren't kidding. And basically, then they gave me, it was, and then when I went back to trade back what little I had left, they wanted 25% off the top too, so I'll just keep it as a souvenir. Okay. And the rate of exchange, I would have lost money just because the dollar became worth more and their money became worth less. Okay, anyway, I digress. Okay. Okay. Basically, we tried to come in with a Brand Kellogg pact, which basically we were going to tell people what they could do with their military. It doesn't really work because we're not in the League of Nations. Now, you also have presidents who basically let businesses run free. Okay, this is a play on an old Christian song. You'd have in churches, you have people sitting around a piano singing. It says, "What a friend." Now the song is "What a friend we have in Jesus," but the song they're singing is "What a friend we have in Coolidge," because remember how Taft, Wilson, and Roosevelt broke up the big monopoly companies. They basically let them all come right back. So businesses love Calvin Coolidge. They love Warren G. Harding. And then they love Herbert Hoover, who's the one who sent us into the Great Depression. These three, basically, businessmen, they're very pro-business, where the last few presidents have not been very pro-business. Okay. I'm talking. So the monopolies, bless you, bless you. All right. Okay. Now, look, if everybody's seeing this, everything looks awesome. This is people's wages. So here's right here. Here's the war, and then everything's going up during the 1920s, and that looks awesome, right? Well, look what happens right at the end of the 1920s. That's when the Baileys were. Hello, dear. Okay. Now, some things that happen now that have never been around. First of all, everybody finally is getting electricity in their house. I know that doesn't sound like a big thing now, but imagine, you now have electricity. Instead of sweeping your carpets, you now can buy a vacuum cleaner. And by the way, my grandma had one of these like old time vacuum cleaners. Those things could kill you. And I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. They were so powerful, and the rotors were so industrialized, it would suck a small child's arm up and could tear a small child's arm off. They call it a wood chipper now. But literally, you have to worry about when you're vacuuming with this thing, it would suck up the whole carpet. Now the vacuum cleaners suck and not in the right way. Okay. Now here's another one. Can anybody figure out what that one is over there? That little box on the legs? What?
Instead of liquor can, but this is.
Well, some people would disguise it to be a liquor cabinet because you had to hide your liquor now. Because I remember my great aunt used to tell me she used to get sent down during Prohibition to go get they'd go down to the store where they were sent her getting milk, and they'd send all the kids because cops wouldn't check them, and then they'd get a bucket of beer and bring it back to the house free instead of milk.
Isn't there also like the tiny little clogs or whatever? They're like, hey, don't put this in your cabinet for like 30 days because it'll turn into wine.
Oh yeah. Oh people, it was bad. During if you hear about that, we'll talk about that from January. I know people make alcohol in their homes now. You make so much alcohol as long as you're not willing to sell it or anything like that. You can make wine, you can make beer. If you don't know what you're doing, it can go. There's two different kinds of alcohol. There's grain alcohol, which is what you drink. Then there's isopropyl alcohol, with what you put on balloons. If you drink that, best case scenario is you're going to go blind. Worst case scenario is you're going to die a very violent death. And it doesn't matter if you throw it up and get out of your system, you're still going to die if it gets too strong. And I don't know why. my sister tried to explain it to me when she was a chemistry teacher, but there's a line where you cross, like if it's like you cook it at this high temperature, you let it sit for this much longer, it turns into the bad stuff. Or I'm sorry, if you don't cook it enough. And the people weren't willing because they're afraid they're going to get caught. They would make the stuff in their bathtub. That's why they call it bathtub gin. And it usually ended up being isopropyl alcohol. And people, now, this is how dumb people work. You could still buy isopropyl alcohol in the store for medical reasons, right? They thought you could turn isopropyl alcohol. They would take a loaf and cut off the top of the bread, the top of the loaf, the bottom of the loaf. They would pour the isopropyl alcohol through that. And when it came out, they thought it would be turned into gray alcohol because it went through bread.
Like that's
I mean, back then, that probably made sense, but.
I don't know. That just seems like a whole lot of stupid to me.
that's just like
I mean, that's what I'm saying too.
I mean there's like a tiny bit of logic that I see why you would do it, but still it's
I can see why a 13 or 14-year-old would do it, but an adult. Okay.
Try that tonight.
Okay. Just so you know, that was a radio, and that was. And by the way, when radios came out, that was. They'll put your phone away. How did I know you were on your phone? Just did you? Close your computer too. All right, now. Well, put your phone away, please. All right, now. Radios were everything. Radio shows, I mean, that was your entertainment. Where people used to have to sit around and read, now you can actually be entertained. Now, imagine watching TV with no visual, so you have the whole story. And they have these radio shows on where they do dramas, they do everything from comedy shows, and it was funny because if you look at pictures from this era, you have the whole family sitting around, and they're literally looking at the radio. Even though there's no picture, they're still looking at the radio. But this becomes the center of information, entertainment for everything. This is a crazy new invention because this is a stove that it's a two-way stove. You can use wood burning stove, which is what it had normally been, but now you can actually hook it up and put gas in it. And then your whole apartment will blow up, because the gas line breaks. All right. Here's another problem. Credit very cheap. Anytime credit is cheap, you're usually heading for depression. You want to know interest rates keep going up and up and up because they want credit to not be cheap because that keeps them. Biden, President Trump and the President Biden now both were fighting with the Federal Reserve Bank because they keep raising the interest rates, which makes things more and more expensive. But the Fed's hope is, if they keep doing that, we'll avoid a depression. We're in a recession right now. We're hoping to avoid a depression. Okay, here's your assembly line. Just imagine, yes, you're the guy who sticks the wheels on. You do that all day long. Yeah. Okay, now you got the radio. Here's the family all watching radio. You have jazz. You have this new invention called the movies. You go and watch, and then the movie's starting to talk. During the war, the movies, you just have somebody playing a piano behind it, and it had like little subtitle things that they started to actually talk. And then you have arguably the greatest baseball player on the greatest baseball team of any era, Babe Ruth, comes around, and he just, everybody wants to sit and hear him play or watch him play. And then you get the two contrasting communities. You got people up in the country where they work hard for a living, and then you're in the city where these girls are called flappers. I'll get into that in a minute. But basically, in the city, it was like party all the time. Okay, now, you have mass immigration. You also have the Great Migration, where African Americans in the South are tired of being treated like crap by their former owners, so they moved to the north to find factory jobs. You also have immigrants coming in at a very high rate. You can see the population changes from urban to rural, from rural to urban. I mean, this is people who lived on farms. This is people who live in the city. And city far surpassed the, okay. Why are we talking? Yes, ma'am.
I was having trouble with the US Constitution test URL. The respondents in this Constitution test,
Yes, sir.
Canvas, they didn't report it. Hopefully, got that error message about bad URL. There's something we've done in the past that
Okay.
fixes that
Okay.
here. All right. What are we learning today?
The Roaring Twenties.
Roaring Twenties. Teach me things. We're just telling you interesting things.
They
Right, maybe you have.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Um,
This is
Yes.
council QR code.
This is what.
Yeah, that's just one. I believe that. But I think it's for the winter Spirit Point scavenger hunt. QR code. Yeah, the QR code scavenger hunt
for Spirit.
for Spirit Points. Yeah, with trivia about your teachers, submitted by your teachers. Do you know anything trivial about your teachers?
I probably take you guess. No, it's you.
Uh,
Yes, in fact it is. Keep going.
No, you didn't. I used to restaurant. Play again.
Did you make it fast?
I do like that.
There you go. Now we're shooting. Seems today is National SRO Appreciation Day, so the CRS on them. Officer, student,
Oh,
school resource
that's
officer.
Officer B.
Pete, yeah.
Oh, yeah, so.
There's even a picture of him playing basketball or some basketball. Coach Hilton here. That way the Super Bowl has. Oh, that's what I thought.
Just sit there. Sit down.
Okay.
Would find me for crush.
Every time you do it, finance.
Okay.
Pretty average.
Yeah, that's not one.
There you go. Figure you can do it.
If you change the password, because it lets you do that in Canvas, it shouldn't let you do that because then it screws up connection with lockdown browser, and they don't like each other. So they should take that away in Canvas because.
It does, right. Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt all of this.
Oh.
Very disappointed to have a break in the 1920s lesson.
All right, okay. Come back, no, come back. I'll 10 more minutes, promise. Okay, basically what you need to know, there's a big war between the country people and the city people. Now, whereas the city people are partying their brains out, drinking illegal alcohol, the city people get more and more into religion. And it's gonna, okay. You know how the red states hate the blue states now? It was about the same thing back then. All right. Okay, so people are able to buy things. You have luxuries. You have blah blah. We talked about that. First, sports advertising. You have Babe Ruth. By the way, he's went to his grave pissed off. Have you ever had my favorite candy bar, the Baby Ruth? You don't like that?
That's your favorite?
You're a crap thing. I
No,
love peanuts.
I think they're all right. Like, they're not almonds, but almonds was before.
Oh, I hate almonds.
But like, it's not like. Twix is top tier.
See, you're the same as my wife. My wife loves Twix, and I don't like really sweet stuff. I like more salty stuff. So the nuts and so yeah. Like one of my favorite things are like, oh my gosh, the dark chocolate covered peanuts. That was like crack cocaine to me. I mean, I cannot control myself. You ever want a favor from me? Bring in dark chocolate covered peanuts, and you'll probably get whatever you want. Yeah. I can't give you this without. So. All right, now, okay. I probably should have told you guys this before Christmas, but okay. But Babe Ruth becomes the first. Oh, by the way, it's at this time that Coca-Cola is no longer a hard drink; it becomes a soft drink. Coca-Cola used to have cocaine in it. And that's made illegal, just like laudanum and heroin are made illegal. So basically, any fun you could have had is now gone. Yeah.
We still have plenty of communities who use the Coca-Cola
Oh, yeah.
the same way that we were. Like,
Okay.
but this still.
I will tell you this. The major drugs in this country that are illegal are illegal because of racism,
Yeah.
not because of what they did.
And all the books that are actually harmful are advertised.
Because if you think about it, the drug of choice of white people is still legal, alcohol. I can tell you how heroin, cocaine, and marijuana all became legal. Heroin in California, you had a big Chinese migration. Remember the Chinese came over and built the Transcontinental Railroad? The Chinese that didn't opened up did two things. They either opened up restaurants or they opened up opium dens. Who was going into opium dens? White women. And they were smoking opium. And they thought, oh my gosh, Asian men might take advantage of them. So let's make opium illegal.
That's one.
Then oh yeah.
That's the one.
And then in Louisiana, after slavery had ended, these people who ran the shipping ports down in Louisiana found that when they hired former slaves, these African American men, they were given lots of energy when they gave them cocaine. Just a little bit. They gave them cocaine. Well, if you give somebody cocaine long enough, they have psychotic episodes.
Yeah, did you see that?
And then these guys were flipping out. And again, it came back to protecting their white women.
Yes.
And then the same thing basically with marijuana with Mexican men coming across the border, migrant workers, because they all would bring marijuana with them. They're like, oh, we can't have. There's actually movies that come out in the 1920s. They are freaking hysterical.
Reefer Madness.
Reefer Madness. Go online on YouTube and look up Reefer Madness. It is freaking hysterical because, first of all, they like good. So they do that, like all of a sudden they're like, this guy wants to go. I mean, it's just a riot. It's truly, they have no idea how drugs work.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, having worked at a bar for numerous years, people who smoke weed, I love them compared to people who drink alcohol. People who got drunk always want to fight me. People who smoke don't just want to hug me and know where Taco Bell was. So, all right, yeah, but it also completely kills work ethic. The first state that decriminalized it, Colorado, they have such a work shortage and they're so far in debt, it's not even funny. But Taco Bell sales are up 80%. All right. Basically, here's the moral of the story. Well, first of all, I won't say anything good about cocaine or heroin because those just set life right out of you. If you mess with those, you're stupid. And I don't care who you tell about that. All right. Okay. Anyway, so sport. Well, we really went down a red on that one. Okay. This is where your first big sports licensing comes around. And look at all these luxury things you can have, things that you guys take for granted. You can get a refrigerator. You know what your refrigerator was before your refrigerator? Every day, Judo goes down. He grabs a big block of ice from the ice man. You had, what they called it, how many of you ever heard your grandparents call it an ice box? That's the thing that goes back to this time. What it was, you had a two-chamber box here, a box here. You put the ice at the top and close it, and it had a metal lining that would go down into the other one, and it would cool your food. You had to do that every day because it would melt, run out, and you get another big block of ice. This is crazy. You just plug it in the wall, and it stays cool. It's awesome. It's magic. Now, a washing machine, that's not what you guys consider a washing machine. A washing machine was basically, you scrub it, you put it there, it would move a little bit, but basically you didn't have your stuff in the sink because that's usually where you need to wash. So that was kind of a luxury. But the thing I want you to notice on all of these things, $5 down, $5 a month. You paid for it on credit. The whole nation is doing stuff on credit. The Lily, get your earbud out and, well, now everything's on credit, which means when the Great Depression hits and everybody's in debt, is that going to make it a whole lot worse?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's why they keep raising interest rates, hoping people will stop buying stuff on credit. Okay, jazz is everything. This new fast-paced music where people get to dance, and the places you heard jazz were the illegal bars. You have all of these places, like literally, you walk in and you see this candy store, and in the back they have like a bookcase that will open up, and you go into a bar. You have to give them a password, you got to go in. And here's the thing, everybody knew what was going on. Usually the people who regulated it were the cops taking kickbacks so they wouldn't come and check them out. It was a very corrupt time. This is also when you have people like Al Capone or Scarface comes about, who makes millions off of illegal alcohol, prostitution, stuff like that. Okay, Great Migration. This is when former slaves start moving north. I already mentioned this. However, when African Americans get north, they immediately start to get what's called redline. Have any of you heard the term redline? What it was artificial borders were set up in cities where if you were African American or minorities, you had to live in certain areas of town. Were they the best parts of town? No.
That's why it's called the ghetto, because like.
Actually, no, that term did not come around until World War II.
Oh yeah.
Because of the Polish ghettos. Yeah. Ghetto was actually a Jewish word.
Right.
That was just later applied to. By the time that happened. Now, at first of the Great Migration, it was the wealthier African Americans who came up. But as the poorer ones, the other ones start to bring their poorer family members up, then the socioeconomic area of Harlem. Harlem, when it first started out, it was kind of like what happened in Tulsa. It was like Black Wall Street. And here's the thing. The police didn't go, because they were prejudiced, they didn't police the African American areas. Guess where all the gin clubs were? There's a great, it's a comedy, but it actually has a lot of great history in it. It's back when Eddie Murphy was still funny. It's called not the Cotton Club, Harlem Nights. And it's him and Richard Pryor, how they were running basically a candy store front where with a gin joint in the back of a big club, and these guys basically are taking control of crime. It's a lot of great history. It's based on a real guy named Sugar. I can't remember what his name is, but Candy did it. Yeah. All right. Now, jazz becomes everything. It's the new rave. Everybody likes it. We have people like Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, two of my father's favorite jazz musicians. All right. You have a lot of literature that breaks out the Harlem Renaissance, Langston Hughes. And basically, Harlem is the place where basically everybody who is not racist likes to go and hang out because it's the epicenter of culture. Now, women have the flappers. Before 1920s, if a woman showed her legs, oh my gosh, we're going to all go to hell if we see her calves. I mean, if some of the ways some of the girls in the school dress, if you would have gone back 1920s, they probably would have burned you at the stake. I remember my grandma showed me a picture of herself in a swimsuit in the 1920s. I don't know how they did it around. It was this big wool thing. It had sleeves, like ruffles at the end. It came up her neck and all the way down. Basically, you can see it from about the shins down in the hands. and they go swimming. Seriously, I don't know how they drown. They drown. But getting short haircuts, and then women, you remember, they got jobs during the wartime, right? They started having their own money, their own college. They just got right to vote. They're basically saying, we're people, we're going to take our rights. You start seeing advertisement just for women. Women are voting. Women become a very powerful group. Popular with men and women. Basically, they're saying if you're going to dance all night, you better use this code because you're going to get funky. Now, here's the other thing. Promiscuity becomes an acceptable thing. Women can have affairs, men can have affairs. It used to be only that men can have affairs. Now women can have affairs and it's not a big deal. And you get the idea. Oh my gosh, this swimsuit when they're showing legs. This photo was burned in many places. Yes. Okay. And apparently, I don't know what this hairstyle is. My grandma got that, and her mother kicked her out of the house. Because she didn't have long hair. She had ironed her hair. Yes, it was. And women would carry around a flask of gin in their garters and cigarettes. Smoking was a big no-no. And using vape. Good morning, sunshine. All right. Oh my gosh. And girls kissed boys when they weren't married. For all these health. And they even had sex.
Wow.
Okay, basically, I don't know if you read it, your junior still. Do you guys still read The Great Gatsby? You probably will. If you got Walker, Walker. Basically, it's a depressing. It's a very depressing story, but basically, this dude parties all the way through the story, and it's a story about the 1920s. It is very much. I'm not going to go too much into it, but. And of course, you have sports. You have the great Babe Ruth. If I say this name, I doubt any of you have ever heard of it. Red Grange, but he's the guy who made the NFL. The NFL was kind of a semi-pro joke league. He was the greatest. College football was everything back then. Red Grange was the guy who decided to play for the Chicago Bears, and pro football was a huge thing. This is Jack Dempsey. He was the heavyweight champion. He was from New York, which made boxing a big popular thing. And this is Babe Dietrich. Unfortunately, for the time, if you were a woman athlete, most men question your sexuality. She was a great athlete. They didn't have women's sports in the Olympics, but she competed against men in like these trial things. And she was killing it. She's the first woman to swim across the English Channel, which is about 45 miles. She was an unbelievable golfer. She could play tennis. She was unreal. I'm too ashamed for her that she was born where she was. This is when Yankee Stadium got built, because most baseball stadiums look like little minor league parks at the time. Everybody wants to come see the band. That's why they called it the house that Ruth built. It went from a stadium of about 2,000 to one of about, I think it was 35,000 before they started adding on to it. Okay, yeah. Okay, we talked about that. Now, I will tell you this. Baseball flourished on two parts. You had the major leagues, and then you had the Negro leagues. And in my mind, these are probably the two greatest baseball players who ever played. Now, Satchel Paige, because he played forever. You guys should know this because he actually played here for a while with the St. Louis Browns. which was our other baseball team that became the Baltimore Orioles. He spent most of his time with the Kansas City Monarchs. Satchel Paige grew so hard, you couldn't see the ball. He would do things like go out to second base and pitch from second base. He'd pitch from a rocking chair and he'd still strike people out. His arm was phenomenal. Josh Gibson was the Black Babe Ruth, but he hit more home runs in one season than Babe Ruth ever did. In one season, he hit 88 home runs. That's just insane.
You know the movie Life?
Yeah,
That's broad.
yeah. Satchel Paige, after Jackie Robinson broke, no, he started playing in the 1920s. He actually was playing with the St. Louis Browns until the 1950s after the color barrier broke, and he was still one of their best pitchers. I mean, we think Wainwright's old at like what 30 something.
Yeah.
He was pitching almost into his 60s.
That's great.
And it was funny because they bring a rocking chair out for him, they make a big deal of it, you know. They'd have a kid walk out and hand him the ball. Yeah, it was awesome. All right, then you got Jim Tennessee, who sets record in Tennessee, we fight at Yankee Stadium. Okay, talked about all these. All right, the first hockey movie. See how everybody's watching radio? Okay. Talked about jazz already. Now, white people start playing jazz. Okay, I got all these movies. Charlie Chaplin was a huge, by the way, he had such a squeaky voice. He had made silent movies. He never would make talking movies because he had a really weird voice. And the one time he made one, people hated it, so he went back to making silent movies. But basically, what you're seeing is everything is awesome. Everybody's partying. Everything is great. Now, this is also when technology takes off. If you go to Lambert Airport, you'll see a model hanging from the ceiling of the Spirit of St. Louis plane. Has anybody ever been there and saw it? That's a model of the plane that Charles Lee. Now, the real one's in Washington, D.C. in Smithsonian. But he was the first person to fly alone across the Atlantic Ocean. And the airplane's back there, that's a lot of courage. And then a big thing happened shortly after he became this big star, somebody kidnapped his baby. We tend to stop talking about Charles Lindbergh after that because in World War II, he was a Hitler sympathizer. So we kind of tend to forget about him. Okay, here he goes. And then Amelia Earhart does is the first woman to do it. Okay. Not gonna spell that. Okay. Okay. Jazz, I partying. Okay, people live in cities, people live in the country. No alcohol. And yet, what do you see? People still drink. Now, one of the funniest things I've ever seen. In St. Louis, if you go down to the brewery, has anybody ever taken the brewery tour?
Oh yeah.
If you go down and take the brewery tour, they were rolling these barrels of beer out during Prohibition, and they were hitting them and breaking them, and basically letting them pour into the street. You have a guy down there, like, under the barrel, like, trying to soak up as much beer as he can before he... Yeah, they said one guy almost drowned because he was trying to take in so much beer. Okay, yeah, they're pulling up. We're all down the store. Here the police are raiding under the Volstead Act. Stroh still exists. I don't know if any of those other beers. Oh, there's some Anheuser-Busch right there. You know how Anheuser-Busch made it through the Prohibition era?
Didn't think they'd sell it wooden toys.
They made toys, and they took all the grain hops and started making bread and pretzels and stuff like that. And then they illegally imported beer and stuff. Okay, now this is weird. The Treasury Department basically was the ones in charge of the taxmen were going around and making sure nobody had alcohol. That's maybe why it was done on purpose, because they didn't do a very good job. Okay. Speakeasy, yeah, people partying. bathtub, jam. And these are people sneaking alcohol in. They try to bring it by boat, by plane. They, one guy was hollowing out. This is back when you had inner tubes inside your car. They'd fill up your inner tubes full of beer, which is the dumbest thing because it would make the tires explode because it's got carbonation in it. It'd be like, shaking the soda. Yeah, it's just gonna explode. Yeah. They pulled the sidewalls of cars out, and whiskey stocked in here. Yeah, it was a lot of creative ways of getting in here. And here are a bunch of stills where people are making it on their own. And the good old Al Capone. Now, you know how they finally caught Al Capone? Not for any of his crimes, and he murdered a lot of people.
Oh, wasn't it like tax?
Income tax evasion. He didn't pay any taxes. He was responsible for the Valentine's Day massacre. Matter of fact, if you go to Union Station in Kansas City, you can see his handiwork. Somebody was coming to testify against him. He got off the train, and his men mowed down everybody, like women, children. They killed like 27 people, and you can still see the bullet holes in the wall at the Union Station down there. And people kept protesting. We want their beer back. And Prohibition finally lifts at the end. Oh, the Great Depression already started. So basically, like, okay, life sucks right now. Let's give everybody alcohol. And real quick, we talked about this before. There's a picture of Uncle Sam holding his nose as an immigrant's coming in. You see this, and this is on your test also. So look up here. There's a picture of immigrants up here, and you see them all holding their hands up like, we don't want you. But if you look at their shadows, they're descendants of immigrants. So basically, it's former immigrants saying they don't want any more immigrants. Okay. We start taking photos. Okay. The Klan pops up. The Klan had kind of gone away, but remember how basically we said Wilson allowed Jim Crow to come back. The Klan makes a comeback. That's another reason for the Great Migration. And then you have the last thing I want to talk about, and this is basically a country versus city thing. A school of Kansas wanted to teach evolution instead of creationism, and it goes all the way to Supreme Court. Here they have these very evangelistic tent meetings out in the country. But the Stokes monkey trial, basically this teacher wants to teach evolution. Big court case. Here are the two lawyers. Are you gonna die? Okay. All right. You have Clarence Darlow, who basically was for the evolutionist side. You have William Jennings Bryan, who had run for president, defending the Christianity and values. Basically, it's kind of a draw because evolution lost the case, but William Jennings Bryan had to admit that there's no proof that it didn't happen. So, okay. Which right now, just FYI, for your biology, they can't prove evolution happened because DNA kind of says it doesn't. So, scientists are kind of struggling now.
Well, you know they're cloning humans
Oh,
to help climate.
okay, we're not far away from Jurassic Park,
Yeah, like
which is a little terrifying.
you can pay
Because if humans can do something stupid, they will.
you can pay like 20 grand to just like go and clone your dog, and it's like eerie because it's just the same dog again. And it just
Yeah, there's going to be something wrong with it.
yeah,
This is how zombies are come about.
yeah.
Okay, now look up here. You are finished with this. Now, if you have not turned your notes in, get those done, turn them in. The only thing I'm giving you is the quiz and the reading review, which are multiple choice. That should take you, since most of you just guess them. I remind you only get 3 to 10 seconds, so don't be stupid. All right.